morning, everyone. I'm not the speaker today. I'm here just to introduce our special treat. It's always a special treat to have Reverend Ken Tanaka here to speak with us. Dr. Tanaka was born in Mountain View and lives in Tokyo and has done everything in between that coast and this coast. So he's come from this shore and crossed to the other shore. Educated at Stanford and then the Institute of Buddhist Studies, and then did a master's in Tokyo and then a PhD in Berkeley. He's Reverend Doctor. He's the author, if any of you have read, Oceans. So I actually went to our library to see if we have one. We had 20 copies and they're all gone. So I hope that you're all reading Oceans. And he's recently been published in Tricycle, the spring edition. I really recommend you all get it. He has an article here on To the Pure Land and Back. He's one of the key articles in Tricycle. He has widely written, widely spoken. He's widely famed in the lecture of non-surpassment. That's kind of a Buddhist term. So again, would like to recommend Professor Reverend Tanaka to come give us our Dharma talk today. And then afterwards, there's a special presentation where we'll be seeing a film by Dr. Tanaka called Buddhism in America. And please hope you'll stay for that and have coffee and tea with us as well. So Reverend Tanaka?
Okay, well, good morning. How are you? It's a beautiful day, and I have been living in Japan for the past 20 years, but I come back summertime and then March, looking forward to the great weather in California. But this March 1st, for about a week, it rained every day. And so was a little disappointed, but we need the rain. But finally we're getting the beautiful sunshine and beautiful weather, which is when we observe the Ohigan service. So Ohigan, as the MC indicated, is a time for us to really kind of buckle up and try harder to become better people, better Buddhists. And so we all often at Ohigan talk about what we have to do, what we should do every day. Anyway, I'm so glad to see so many of quite a number of Boy Scouts or Scouts, and because I too was a Scout when I was young, and I benefited greatly from Scouts. And so actually I'm writing a book on Buddhism. It's called Introduction to American Buddhism for Youth, Scouts, and the Young at Heart, with a bit of humor. So I include a lot of humor in there to make it interesting for young people. So hopefully, I think next year you'll come out, and hopefully it can be passed out to the Scouts. I'm very much concerned about young Buddhists in America, because when I was young, I was a little afraid to be a Buddhist, not confident, and I had trouble, when I do the Pledge of Allegiance, when you have to come under God. I try different things, saying quietly Buddha, or not saying anything, or try to understand God, not in a Judeo-Christian sense, but in a broader sense. So I think young Buddhists in America, have a lot of, some concerns being a Buddhist. Although it's a lot better to be a Buddhist now than 50 years ago, because it's much more well known, and we have magazines like Tricycle in ordinary stores now. I think Whole Foods has tricycle being sold. So it's wonderful. It's a great time to be a Buddhist, a much better time to be a Buddhist. But still, young people need to be encouraged. So speaking of humor, I think probably Reverend Kobata has already shared this with you. But the most important Buddhist humor is, why couldn't the Buddha vacuum under the sofa? Do you know this one? Okay, I'm asking the young people. Do you know this one? Okay. Why couldn't the Buddha vacuum under the sofa? Well, because he had no attachments. Okay. Well, there are plenty more, but I just don't have time to, Since there's good reaction, I'll forget what I was going to talk about. Throw that one out the window, and I'll tell you one more. You know the Buddhist monk who wanted hot dog? This one's more sophisticated. So he goes to the hot dog vendor and he says, "What would you like?" So the vendor says, "Sir," to the monk, "what would you like?" And the monk kind of straightens up and he says, "Make me one with everything." Now, those who laughed, usually, even in America, only half the people laugh. But I don't want to explain it in detail, but make me one with the universe, the spiritual, the mystical experience of make me one. That's the meaning. But the second part is even better. He gives him $20, doesn't get the change. He's waiting, no change. So, but he's a monk, so he has to be patient, right? What is patient? Patience is one of the 6 paramitas for the Ohigan time, Patience. But even a monk could not practice patience too long. After 3 minutes or so, he says, "Well, where's my change?" And the vendor kind of straightens up and he says to the monk, "Sir, the change must come from within." I think this is the best one. And Buddhism is a religion of change. It's not a religion of belief. That is why Buddhism is actually growing in America. There are 3.5 million Buddhists. And there are more who are not Buddhists, but they practice Buddhism and know a lot about Buddhism. Like Phil Jackson. Or late Steve Jobs. These are all, I would call them nightstand Buddhists, who are probably more Buddhists than a lot of Buddhists. And then also there have been 25 million people who have been influenced by Buddhism strongly with regard to religion and spirituality. 25 million. So put them all together, you got over 30 million people in that category. Buddhists, nightstand Buddhists, and then those who've been influenced. So that means 1/10 of American population have been influenced to some extent by Buddhism. So again, it's a good time to be a Buddhist. So, and I like to ask each and every one of you to share your religion with others. Live Buddhism. Don't keep it to yourself. You don't want to proselytize and, kind of, push it, force it down their throat, or but you just share naturally, and don't be afraid to talk about how you feel and what you believe in, and then do that with also your grandkids and your kids and relatives and friends, not in an intrusive way, but in a natural way. Okay, so. I'm really not going to have time to talk about what I really wanted to talk about. But for the children, let me just say one story. The aim of Buddhism is to become happy. Okay, please remember that. And we say aim of Buddhism is to become Buddha. To become Buddha means to become enlightened, awakened one, right? But awakened one means that he or she is a happy, very happy person. So aim of Buddhism is to become happy. But there is a problem because there is an obstacle. What is the obstacle? Or we often say defilement or affliction and things like that. But we now have an easy way to remember what they are in 3 different forms. And they can be the acronym GAS. Do you know that one? I'm sure Reverend Kobata, he probably invented it, I noticed Reverend Kobata has been coming up with these acronyms. And I've known him since we were teenagers. So he never told jokes or I never found him to be funny. You can tell him, it's okay. But now, recently, he's really loosened up and he's funny. Some of his acronyms are a little hard to take, but I don't fully understand. But GAS, I understand. So, guys in the uniform, scouts, okay, GAS. What does G stand for? Do you know gas? We want to become happy, but gas gets in the way. We're full of gas. So aim of Buddhism is to get rid of gas. But just don't do it here. Okay, now they're really perplexed now. G stands for greed. A stands for what? Anger. Or, well, actually, aversion is probably a better word, but anger and includes hatred too. And then S stands for stupidity. Salvation. No, this is still the problem part of it. Salvation is, after you get rid of stupidity, then you be happy. So that's why we have to get rid of stupidity, anger, and greed. Greed is one of the big problems. And there's a great story which some of you know, but I want to share this with you. Greed can make you unhappy. Too much greed. Desire, we need desire. We all want to have friends. We want to be liked by people. That's okay. That's called desire. But if you want everybody in your class to like you, that becomes greed. Say you have 25 students in your class, not everybody will like you. No matter if you're the best person in the world, they won't like you. There will be 1 or 2 people who won't like you. So that's greed. Just have 1 or 2 or 3 friends, that's good enough. But too much greed can lead to suffering. So there was a greedy dog. You know the greedy dog? Well, he was walking around and he saw a puppy with a juicy bone in its mouth. He was greedy, so he growled and barked and scared the little puppy. And the puppy dropped the bone and ran away. So the greedy dog grabbed the juicy bone and wanted to take it somewhere to, savor it, enjoy it in quiet. So he goes over a creek, and going over a bridge, he looks down at the brook, the creek, and there's another dog with a juicy bone in its mouth. So what did the greedy dog do? He wanted that one because he's greedy. He barked, and what happened to its bone? Yes, it fell into the river. So he lost the bone. So he was no longer happy. He suffered. So too much greed. And he brought suffering to the little puppy, and then he brought suffering to himself. And in the end, he had nothing to show for it. So, as you know, this is not a Buddhist story. It's an Aesop story. But that greed leads to problem is true in all cases. In all true philosophy or religion, West and East. So please remember that. So when Reverend Kobata talks about gas, first one is greed, and think of the story of the puppy and the greedy dog. Not the puppy, the greedy dog. Okay, so that's my message for the young people, and I guess you can leave. Huh? Okay. So, for the adults, you have been given an outline, and this is a story that is told in the Pure Land Sutra, called the Sutra of the Meditation on the Buddha of Immeasurable Life. I have some typos. Oh well. I have a 3-page handout, and the details, you can look at it when you go home if you're interested. And I also have a 1-page questionnaire about my talk, and if you can fill it out, I would appreciate it. But at the end, there is also a section for you to fill out if you wish to receive my Buddhist column that I have begun to send out by email free of charge. And now that I am retired, I have a little bit more time to share my thoughts and also the thoughts of other ministers that I include in the sutras, in the column. So if you're interested, give me your name and give me your email, and about once a month you'll get this from me sent out from Tokyo. But anyway, do you know the story of the Ajatashatru? This is actually a fascinating story, a parable that is at the heart of our Jodo Shinshu tradition. We have 3 sutras: the larger sutra, smaller sutra, and the one in the middle is called the Meditation Sutra. And in the beginning, there is Queen Vaidehi, who finds herself in jail and calls upon the Buddha to use his supernatural powers to come back and come to the jail to talk to her, console her, explain why she's in jail. And so let me explain why she is in jail. Well, once upon a time, there was King Bimbisara and Queen Vaidehi. They were king and queen of the great country of Magadha. And they, however, did not have a child, so they wanted a child very badly, especially the king. And there was a prophecy that said a hermit who lived up in the hills will die in 3 years and will be reborn as their son. But the king, because he's greedy, he can't wait, he's not patient. What he does is he has the hermit killed. And as the hermit is dying, tells the soldiers that because of what your king did to me, when I'm reborn as his son, I will take revenge upon him and kill him. And sure enough, as he dies, soon Queen Vaidehi becomes pregnant, and the king and queen, they hear about this story, heard what the hermit said. They were afraid to have the baby, but somehow they felt, they will go through with the pregnancy and have the baby. So 9 months later, when a child is about to be born, then they get scared again. So what they do is they try to kill their own son. They climb to a high tower, and as the baby is born, drops the son from a high tower. Fortunately, the baby is safe, is only harmed by having his little finger bent. So, and after that, they feel remorse. The king and queen decides to raise the baby. So 20 years down the road, as the son, his name is King Ajatashatru. Please remember that name. King Bimbisara is a father, Queen Vaidehi is a mother, and Ajatasattu. It means hatred before birth. That's the name. It's not a great name, but at the age of 20, around 20, there is another figure by the name of Devadatta, and he's kind of the rival to the Buddha. He's also his Buddha's cousin. He's always trying to give the Buddha a bad time. So what Devadatta does, he tells the secret to the son Ajatasattu, how his parents tried to kill him, and tells the whole story behind it. And what happens is that Ajatasattu, he's around 20 years old, full of energy, physically very strong. He manages before that he gets enraged, so angry at his parents for what they had done, and manages to carry out a coup d'etat, overthrow his father, takes over the kingdom. And then he puts his father in jail to starve him to death. But he doesn't die. Even after a week, the king, his father, is still alive. So he goes to the guard and says, "How come my father is still alive?" And then the guards suspect that it's his mother, Queen Vaidehi, who is secretly bringing food and drinks to him by pasting food on her body and putting the juice in the necklace. And when the Ajatasattu, who is now the king, finds that out, he gets enraged again, takes out a sword, and tries to slay his own mother. Then the ministers grab him and said, "We have heard of sons killing their fathers, patricide. We have heard there have been many, but never a son who killed his own mother. If you were to do that, you will become a disgrace and pariah in the world. So you should never do that." And so Ajatasattu listens to the ministers and puts his sword back, but he puts his own mother in jail. So about a week later, because the father no longer is able to have food, he dies. And Queen Vaidehi, feeling very obviously very saddened, very horrified in what has happened, especially to her that she is jailed, husband has passed away, own son has caused all of this. Then she calls upon the Buddha to come to the jail by supernatural powers, and so he appears, and what Queen Vaidehi asks is, "What evil deed have I done to deserve all of this?" But if you think about it, isn't she being a little self-centered, foolish, not self-reflecting? She's not looking at all that she has done along with her husband. And in a way, we're not like that, exactly like her, but we have that tendency. And that's one of the messages for today, that sometimes we don't look at ourselves for what we have done, especially the negative things. Well, anyway, then the Buddha teaches her doesn't really answer that question, but gives her the teaching so that she can become enlightened. And that's the rest of the Meditation Sutra, which is the second of our sutras. Well, anyway, the story goes on and it gets a little bit more interesting. Now, Ajatasattu starts to feel very guilty for what he has done. He has killed his father, put his mother in jail, and then out of that mental suffering, he develops boils all over his body. Boils are, the pus and smells bad, and it really hurts. And he has all the physicians try to help him, but nothing will cure his boils. And then he hears a voice from heaven saying, the cause of your boils, your physical ailment is due to is mental. So no amount of medicine will really cure you. What you have to do is go to see the Buddha. And then he realizes, the Ajatasattu, the voice sounds familiar, and he dawns on him that voice is that of his own father, very father who killed him, very father that he had killed. So, and then, no one wants to really help cure him because it smells so bad, and no one wants to come close. But who comes to his rescue to take care of him? Somehow his mother, Vaidehi, gets out of jail to come to his help. So you have the father whom he had killed, advising him to go see the Buddha, and then his mother who, despite the fact that nobody wants to go help him, she is the one that, out of her motherly compassion, to go and support and take care of her own son. So Ajatasattu goes to the Buddha. This Buddha is Shakyamuni Buddha, and he was afraid that because of what he has done, that the Buddha will say, you have to, receive your retribution. You've done evil things, so you will be, maybe go to bad place. But what in fact happens is that Buddha says, what you have done is not totally all your fault. That this happened because of causes and conditions that are just beyond you. In fact, you were born a prince because your father was a king, and your father was a king because he was helpful to the Buddhist religion, and that's why he was able to become become the king. So therefore, I am also culprit. I'm also responsible for you being born a prince and you having committed your evil act of ultimately having your father die in jail. So, in a way, and then Buddha goes into this samadhi, the deep meditation, and what is called the moonlight samadhi. So the sutra says that this light emanates from him, and that light bathes Ajatasattu, and his boils, his physical ailment is cured. And so, overjoyed, Ajatasattu was not only reprimanded, he was not reprimanded, that Buddha expressed compassion and sympathy and expressed, togetherness, and his boils, his physical ailment went away. So he became overjoyed, but also contrite. He repented for what he had done, and he even says that for the rest of my life, I will continue I want to dedicate my life to save all beings. And if I fail to do that, I will be willing to go to hell. So he changes completely. And this is because of the compassion that was exhibited by the Buddha, but also by his parents. So in the end, the story of it's a tragic story, of the family killing each other. But in the end, we have Ajatasattu turning a new leaf and repenting and finding compassion, and to so that he can dedicate the rest of his life for the benefit of all beings. So ultimately, Buddhism teaches compassion for others and effort to benefit all beings. So, if you look at the page 3 I have three significant points, and I will go very quickly. The first one, wrong acts will lead to difficulties. In a way, this has something to do with karma, but karma is a very complicated theory. But simply put, it's obvious even in an ordinary setting or ordinary way of thinking. If you do evil things or bad things, difficulties will arise. And so we saw it with King Bimbisara and Queen Vaidehi and King Ajatasattu. But also in the greedy dog story, no? Remember? The greedy dog was too greedy, and he scared the little puppy, took the bone away. So that led to him being not happy. So difficulties. Second one is that, there are many people in the world, 7 billion people in the world, but in times of need, those who come to your rescue are your loved ones, and especially your family. As we saw in the case of Ajatasattu, his mother, his father, even what he had done, despite what he had done, it's the parents who came to support him. And it's true with each and every one of us. And so the moral of the story would be to be nice to your loved ones. If you are lucky enough to have a partner, try to be nice to that person. Because in the end, it's not your children who will come and help you fully, when you get older. I think about this more because now that I'm into my 70s, not too far away. It's getting closer. And when I get ill or sick or develop dementia, it's my wife who will be there. Well, I hope. I think so. But not so not just for pragmatic reasons you want to be nice, but just know that your family, your great friends, be nice to them, be good to them, because they will be the ones who will be there for you. And lastly, unconditional compassion or love of the Buddha. Amida Buddha is the ultimate form of ultimate compassion, unconditional compassion. And so as we saw in the story, the Buddha not forgave him, but didn't put the onus just on Ajatasattu, that we are all to blame. And I think in my life and your lives, I'm sure you have regrets, things that you kind of look back and you wish you hadn't done, or you wish you had done. Are there things? I'm sure that there are things like that for each one of us. And for me, I've been thinking about when I was in first year in college. Someone at my church, a girl asked me out for dance. When the girls ask you to dance, to go. But I turned it down because of my foolishness, I guess. My friends, my boyfriends, guy friends, said, "Oh, you gonna go out with her?" That kind. Because she was not the most attractive person, and so I was kind of influenced by my guy friends said, and I turned it down because of that kind of reason. And to this day, I have thought about that, and especially because she passed away a few years at a relatively young age. The other regret that I have is, my younger brother passed away 3 years ago, and because of my family situation where parents didn't get along very well, I had a hard time just trying to be myself. But I never had the chance to really listen to my younger brother as he was growing up, and it horrifies me that why didn't I take time to, sit down with them and say, hey, how's it going? But never did that because I was more concerned about how I was doing. Well, given a particular family situation and causes and conditions that are beyond your control, you can, sometimes that happens. But I do regret it. But in the end, I think the compassion of Amida Buddha, I recite the Nembutsu with deep sense of regret and repentance for some of the regrets that I have in my life. But I know Amida will accept and embrace, and so that if you feel any of that, it'll be nice for you to put your hands together and just simply recite the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. So these are the three messages that we can glean from this story, and I hope that you have gained at least one message from this. I want to say a few words in Japanese for the Japanese audience, and はい、日本語でちょっと話させていただきます。小畑先生が今日少し日本語で話してくださいと言って、で今日話すことは先ほど最後に言ったことです。このストーリーっていうか、このお経の中に出てくるアジャセ物語というのを聞いたことおありですか？アジャセ物語。アジャセっていうのはインドに住んでいた王様でありました。そしてご両親がビンビサーラとバイデヒ、イダイ家、ね、この2人の両親のもとで生まれたんですけれど、いろいろありまして、このアジャセは自分の、なんて言いますか、両親を、お父さんを殺すんですね。そしてお母さんを牢屋に入れてしまいました。それでそのことを懺悔しまして、後悔の結果、病気になるんですね。腹の病気、すごい大変な病気なんですね。海が出てですね、匂ってですね、誰も彼に看病来ないんですよ。看病に来るのはまさにお母さんが看病に来るんですね。で最後にいくらしても、この病気は治りません。物質的な問題じゃないんですよ。精神的な問題なんですね。で彼の本当の後悔してそれが病気として現れるんですね。だから最後に自分が殺したお父さんが天国からその息子、そのアジャセに、告げるんですね。言葉、何を言うかというと、あなたの病気は、心の病気だから、いくら薬つけても治りませんよ。だからブッダに釈尊に会いに行きなさいと言うんですね。そうするとこのアジャセは恐れ行くんですよね。もう本当に怒られると、ブッダに怒られる、ひどいことをした、自分の父親を殺した。だけど何を言われるかというと、あなただけの問題じゃないよと、あなただけのせいじゃない、私も加担しているとブッダが言うんですね。ブッダは私もあなたのお父さんが法様になれたのも私も関わっていたと。そういうことを聞いてですね、その慈悲ですよね、お慈悲のそれをアジャセを感じてですね、そして、合当三昧、合愛三昧という三昧に入られて、そこで、その愛というか慈悲の光が照らすんですね。そうすると、そのアジャセに当たってですね、病気もピタッと治ってしまう。それを感じたアジャセは何をするかというと、懺悔して、そして気持ちを変えてですね、私はこの残りの人生、すべての人のために努力をしたい、すべての人のために、捧げたいと言ってですね、自分が慈悲的な行為を持って一生を過ごしていきたいというんです。 でそこで、一つのメッセージですけれど、先ほど英語でも話しましたけど、メッセージはその我々はこの人生をね長く生きていきますと本当に後悔することがいろいろありますよね。皆さんも、後悔することは終わりだと思います。長い人生で、やっちゃいけないこともやったし、もっとね親切にすればよかったな、もっとその友達の話を聞いたらよかったなと、いろいろあると思います。だけど浄土真宗っていうのはそのような、我々の凡夫のようで、凡夫のようじゃなく凡夫である我々が犯した、ね後悔するようなことも全て受け入れてくれて大丈夫だよ、It's okay と言ってくれているのが、お釈迦様阿弥陀様の、お慈悲だと思いますから、皆さんも、時にね人生振り返って後悔を感じられたらですね、お仏壇の前に行って手を合わせてですね、そのことを思い出して、念仏を静かに唱える。そうすると、阿弥陀様も、基本的にこう大丈夫だよ、あなただけのせいじゃないよ、そして、もし本当に後悔するんだったら、自分の行動を変えましょうと、ね、他者のために尽くしましょう、何かできることをしましょうと言ってくれると思いますので、浄土真宗こそですね、我々弱い人間、凡夫である人間にいろんな問題を全て受け入れてくれて大丈夫だよ、大丈夫だよと言ってくれると思います。というのが私のメッセージでございます。どうかこの点をですね、やっぱり実践してもらいたいですね。お仏壇が終わりだったら、その前に行ってですね、手を合わせて今言ったようなことを実践していただければありがたいと思います。はい。Okay, so this concludes my talk, and if you will be good enough to share or your thoughts, if you have any, and if you like to receive my Buddhist column, you'll be also to be able to see what I am up to. What I want to do is to also share what is going on in Japan and Asian countries. There are a lot of interesting Buddhist news from Japan that you might be interested in. For example, monk bars run by monks. I mean, people in Asia, like China, they're just aghast because Chinese Buddhism, they're vegetarian, they don't eat meat, and certainly they don't drink beer, they don't drink liquor. But here in Tokyo, they have bars run by priests, and what they do is the customers come and they talk, they share their problems, and the monks give advice over a beer, over So anyway, this is just one example of kind of quote-unquote interesting Buddhist news. And so if you're interested, things like that. And also I have humor and jokes in there. More to come. So, okay, so best wishes, and I hope that your day will be fine. Yes?
May I ask you a question?
Ah.
If the king should fail in making everybody happy, he wishes to, or was willing to go to hell.
Yeah.
In Buddhism, is there such a place as hell?
Okay. The question is, King said that, Ajatasattu said that if I don't really fulfill my dreams or of helping people, that I'll be willing to go to hell. Yes, there. Okay, 6 destinies or 6 realms. Are you familiar with that? Heaven, human realm, realm of the Titans, realm of the beasts, realm of the hungry ghosts, and realm of the hellish beings. So the idea is that one is, but this hell is not permanent. That's the big difference. In that, in hell there are Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to get you out of it. So it's not eternal. Okay, the other thing is that to what extent do you believe this, or to what extent are these real? In Buddhism, it's not the most important thing. Believing in hell or heaven, it's secondary, even tertiary, I think. The most important thing is to become awakened. And so, yes, it's true that through the long history of Buddhism, worldview included 6 realms. That's what we call transmigration. So you've heard of reincarnation or transmigration. That's an Indian view. So Indian worldview. So with the Jainism or Hinduism and Buddhism, they all adopted this because that was a worldview. But in Buddhism, this is probably best to be seen as psychological. Like when we are not doing things right, we are in hell, psychologically. And when we do things well, we're in heaven. And when we are too greedy, we become hungry ghosts. No? And if we become foolish, not thankful or grateful enough, you're in the realm of the beasts. So that's the way I look at it. So it's not imperative that you believe in the 6 realms to become a Buddhist. To be a Buddhist, you have to believe in the 3 treasures. So I hope that I answered your... Yeah.
This life or the next?
You mean hell? Well, in the traditional sense, it's in the next life. If you do really bad things. But again, I think the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, when he adopted the 6 realms from the Hindu worldview, Brahmanism was there before Buddhism, and so there was this kind of idea of 6 realms, and he just didn't take it to be the ultimate teaching. It was a worldview then. So, but I think for us, I think it's you probably make more sense to think that if you do evil deeds, or if you're not living in accord with the Dharma, or being too egocentric or self-centered, then oftentimes you'll be in the realm in the hellish realm. You'll not be very happy. Or in the realm of the hungry ghosts, you're not really happy. And so...
So don't we kind of believe that we create our own heaven and hell?
Okay, we create our own heaven and hell. And Buddhism, really emphasizes that happiness is really what we create. I usually draw this diagram, is horizontal level in which we live, everyday realm of school, jobs, Buddhist church. Yes, church too is on this realm. We live on this realm. And it's kind of wavy because it's a bumpy road. It doesn't go our way. But a lot of people, that's all they have. But those of us who have a religious tradition, we have a vertical realm. Vertical realm to deal with the ups and downs of life. So, the higher you go on this vertical realm, then happier you are, and you can deal better with the ups and downs of life. So, by coming to temple like this, you're helping yourself to climb up this vertical realm. The highest level is the Buddha. We cannot become exactly like the Buddha, beyond have no gas at all. We'll all have gas. As long as we're ordinary beings, we're going to have gas. But we can get to a level called Shinjang Awakening, which in Jodo Shinshu is a form of awakening in this life. And there have been millions of people in our Jodo Shinshu tradition who have attained this realm. And they still have, selfishness sometimes. They have pride, but they're fundamentally happy. And they know that upon death, they will be able to, enter the realm of the Pure Land. But the realm of Pure Land is realm of enlightenment. It's more of a state. But the most important thing is to be able to live happily with well-being here and now. If you sign up for my Buddhist column, you'll be able to read that tricycle article I would, and in there I talk about how important it is for Jodo Shinshu people, followers, to come close to Shinjin awareness, which can be attained in this life. And then one of the problems of Shinjin is, when do you know if you have it, or when do you know if you awaken to it? And I think that recently, not only myself, but other teachers in Japan have been proposing or saying, emphasizing the fact that if you have been very conscientious, sincere, and dedicated in trying to understand the teaching by coming to the temple on a regular basis, wanting to learn, wanting to hear the truth, that already is an evidence, almost a proof of Shinjin. So you should feel rest assured that you are already enveloped in the compassion of Amida Buddha. It's the compassion of Amida Buddha that is kind of pushing you from the back to continue to search. So in Japanese it's called Gudo, the search the path, seeking the path. You're on the path. So please rest assured that if you feel compelled to want to learn, to better yourself in a very sincere way for an extended length of time, you are already embraced in the compassion of Amida Buddha. And when you hear it, take a deep breath and say, Namanda, it's Namanda, it's Namanda. And you should do that not only at church, but when you're driving. When someone cuts you in front of you, don't do anything to express your hatred. Say Namanda, it's Namanda. Anytime. Well, there's no end to this, but if you feel injustice and things that you should speak up. We shouldn't be always quiet and say nothing. You should speak up when it's the right time. But just know that the horizontal level is always bumpy. It's a bumpy road. Things will not go your way. But if you have the vertical, the higher up you go, now, if you go up on a plane, 30,000 feet, right? The hills and even the Rocky Mountains become kind of flat, no longer bumpy. If you're at the same level, it's really this way. Okay, thank you for listening and for laughing at my jokes.